Hi, my name is Kylie Graves. I am the Director of Data, Policy, and Communication for the Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth. I wish I could be there with you all today, but still very excited to talk through some of the State of the Child in Tennessee 2024 report. So with the State of the Child, we are legislatively required to publish a comprehensive report on the status of children and youth in Tennessee each year. And we try to make that kind of as comprehensive as possible, looking at all of the available information on how our kids and their caregivers are doing. For topics that we cover in the report, it spans kind of the whole lifespan, looking at infant mortality, maternal care, all the way through youth justice, child welfare, aging out of the foster care system. When looking at economics, we saw some improvement in the percent of Tennessee children living under the federal poverty line between 2019 and 2022. However, between 22 and 23, we did go back up. So we have 19.7% of Tennessee children under the federal poverty line. It is slightly higher for our youngest Tennesseans, with 20% of those children living under the federal poverty line, at 20% of children under 5. For economics, among all Tennessee workers who are not currently employed, 15% cite caregiving as the reason that they're not working. It's either for young or elderly. The median household income for a family of 3 has increased a little over 26%, going from 71,133 in 2019 to 90,131 in 2023. However, many Tennessee families are still struggling economically. More than 1 in 5 report that at the last year they kept their home at a temperature that felt unsafe or unhealthy in order to pay an energy bill. And then 42% of Tennessee rental households with children report being behind on rent. Another household expense is childcare. Childcare continues to be one of the largest expenses for many families. Infant center-based care in fiscal year 2024 was $13,126. It's an increase of a little over $1,000 since fiscal year 2019. It is also more than all but one of Tennessee's in-state tuitions for universities. The only exception is there at UT Knoxville was $13,484 compared to that infant center-based care of $13,126. For education, Tennessee continues to see improvement on TCAP scores and bouncing back from the pandemic on both English and math. The largest percent of kids score in the approaching category. For English language arts, that was 41%. And then there was 39% of Tennessee students who met or exceeded expectations in ELA. For education, Tennessee's public schools need $87 million in infrastructure improvements to be in compliance with state and federal laws, such as asbestos regulations, fire codes, ADA, things of that sort. In school year 2023-24, there were 577 social workers. Using public school daily attendance records from the previous year, that would be a ratio of 1 social worker to every 1,613 students. NASW standards call for a ratio of 1 to 250. We also see that the largest percent of suspensions for out-of-school suspensions were given to middle schoolers at 41%, 32% were for elementary students, and 27% were high school students. For health insurance, more than half of Tennessee's children are covered by TennCare. In 2023, 5.6% of Tennessee children were uninsured. Also, over the decade, what we've been seeing is that 78 to 63% of uninsured children in Tennessee have been financially eligible for coverage. So making sure that children who are financially eligible for TennCare, Cover Kids, something of that nature, know their eligibility and are enrolled. For overall health, 89% of Tennessee children are reported by their caregiver to be in excellent or very good health. In 2024, we had a ratio of 77.5 pediatricians per 1,000 children, which is just below the national rate. In 2021, Tennessee saw the highest number and rate of unintentional infant deaths due to suffocation since before 1999. Though the rate dropped slightly in the most recent year of 2022, the number of deaths remained the same. In 2022, 1 in 5 deaths among those aged 1 to 17 were due to a firearm, 1 in 7 were due to motor vehicle traffic, 1 in 17 were due to cancer, and then also again 1 in 17 due to poisoning. We do see concerning trends among suicidal ideation for high school students. For Tennessee high school students who were surveyed in 2023, 1 in 4 reported that they had considered attempting suicide within the last 12 months. Nearly 1 in 5 had made a plan of how they would attempt suicide. And then more than 1 in 7 actually did attempt to take their own life within the last 12 months. We do see these rates and other rates related to mental health to be higher among female students than their male counterparts. For adversity and resilience, nearly 1 in 4 high school students reported that they've been separated from a parent or guardian because that parent or guardian went to jail, prison, or a detention center. This was 23.2% of Tennessee youth compared to 14.4% nationally. So much more common among our youth here to have that separation. More than 1 in 5 students did not want to go to school on at least one day within the last month because they felt unsafe at school or on their way to or from school. And this is a pretty significant increase of 124% increase between 2021 and 2023. 1 in 4 students reported that they saw someone get physically attacked, beaten, stabbed, or shot within their neighborhood. The highest rates for this were reported among Black students at 36.5%. Almost 1 out of 3 students reported that they had lived with someone who had a problem with drugs or alcohol. Among those who dated someone within the last year, nearly 1 in 7 high school girls were in a physically violent relationship within that last year. It's increased since 2021 and remains the 5th highest rate in the country. 1 in 15 Metro Nashville students and 1 in 8 female Metro Nashville students reported that they had been physically forced to have sexual intercourse when they didn't want to at some point in their life. Among Tennessee parents, 86% report they know where to go for help in their community when they encounter difficulties. For households with children, they report when their family faces problems. 94% report all or most of the time they know that they have strengths to draw on. And then also 94% report most of the time or all of the time they work together to solve those problems. 86% of parents report their child always or usually bounces back quickly when things do not go their way. 93% of parents report there's at least one other adult in this child's school, neighborhood, or community that knows that child well and that they can rely on for advice or guidance. And 84% of Tennessee parents report there's someone they could turn to for day-to-day emotional support with parenting or raising children. With our child welfare system, we have an older custodial population than the rest of the country. 43% of our youth are age 13 or older. Also, the majority of the youth, 90%, are there for dependent neglect reasons. In 23-24, Tennessee had about 5,000 kids enter foster care, which is a rate of 3.2 per 1,000. Among those who are entering care, the percentage who are re-entering after a prior episode has remained fairly consistent since 2017, ranging from 21 to 24% are re-entering care after a prior episode. In fiscal 23 and 24, 1 in 4 substantiated cases of abuse were for allegations of drug-exposed child. Second most common was for allegations of lack of supervision at 19%. Of first-time foster youth entering the system in 2022, 38% had been in 3 or more placements by the end of 23. Among those that entered in 23, 31% had been in 3 or more placements by the end of that year. For child welfare, we also see in fiscal year 2022, 98.5% of the infants with prenatal substance exposure had a plan of safe care, which is the 3rd highest percent in the country. We also see a little under 2,500 children were served by the relative caregiver program. And in 2023, less than 1% of children who had been in the custody of a relative caregiver who received direct assistance entered into state custody afterwards. As of the end of 2023, 64% of children who had exited care in fiscal 24 had exited to reunification. And then also in fiscal year 2024, we saw the largest number of youth accept extension of foster care services with 408 youth. For youth justice, this is a one-day snapshot of where youth who are in the delinquent side of custody for DCS are placed. We've seen fewer and fewer youth being, or fewer percentages of youth in community-based placements. In 2016, it was 71%. In 2023, it was just 28% when counting those on trial home visit. Also see a large percent of children who are in a juvenile detention center are there for less than 24 hours. That's 41%. However, there are about 11% who are there for more than 30 days. Juvenile detention centers are not really designed to be that long-term placement. Additionally, we keep track of the youth crime rate. The dark blue is the all ages crime rate, and then the light blue is the 10 to 17. What we've seen is a steady decline over the decade. We did see a larger than usual drop in 2020 due to the pandemic, and then kind of a subsequent increase. And so we're continuing to track whether that keeps going up or if it continues back in line with what we've seen over the decade. And so that is the State of the Child report. We're also super excited to announce a new feature that we have, which is called Future, the next step in our efforts to advocate for data-driven decisions to improve the lives of children and youth in Tennessee. The Future Data Dashboard will allow our partners, citizens, and communities who rely on the data we gather a way to find that information and additional data year-round. And so it is an online data platform. While users are using Future, they can see pre-made interactive graphs and infographics with the latest data on child well-being, access county-level indicators to learn more about the children in their community, see changes in child well-being throughout the decade by selecting previous year's data or historical trends, and then also download the displayed data and, if available, additional historical data in an Excel format to work on their own. So we're super excited about Future. You can see the dashboard and interact with it at tn.gov/TCCY-Future. And thank you so much for letting me present with y'all.